This is my ranking of games with stunning natural worlds that I've played, based purely on my personal experience. Each one is placed from masterpiece down to trash, depending on how beautiful and immersive the environments feel. Let's get straight into the list. Ghost of Tsushima felt like walking through a living painting where every hill, forest, and field moved with the wind. I spent so much time riding across golden grasslands, quiet bamboo forests, rivers, and mountain paths instead of rushing the story. The way leaves blow through the air and storms roll across the island made simple travel relaxing on its own. I also liked how the game guided me with the wind instead of filling the screen with markers because it made exploration feel natural. Even small moments, like following foxes through the woods or stopping near shrines surrounded by flowers, stayed in my mind long after I finished playing. The island never stopped feeling beautiful, and that easily places Ghost of Tsushima in the masterpiece tier among my favorite open worlds ever. Icarus threw me into huge forests, icy mountains, dark caves, and wide deserts where the weather could change everything within minutes. I spent a lot of time building shelters near rivers and cliffs because storms were extremely dangerous, especially when lightning started setting trees and wooden houses on fire. Traveling across the world always felt risky, since wolves, bears, freezing temperatures, and heavy rain could suddenly stop my progress. I also liked how the game made every journey feel important because gathering food, crafting tools, and preparing supplies actually mattered before exploring new areas. Even with technical problems and some frustrating survival mechanics, the natural atmosphere kept me wandering across the planet for hours because its dangerous wilderness constantly made exploration feel tense and rewarding. Icarus earns a place in the good tier of this ranking. Red Dead Redemption 2 gave me one of the most believable nature worlds I have ever explored in a game. I spent hours riding through forests, muddy trails, snowy mountains, swamps, and quiet rivers while random wildlife moved naturally around me. Small details made the world feel alive, especially thunderstorms at night, animals running through the woods, and fog slowly covering the fields during early mornings. I also liked camping in remote areas because the sound of wind, rain, insects, and distant animals made every place feel real. Sometimes I ignored missions completely just to ride across the map and discover hidden cabins, lakes, and hunting spots. The slow pacing actually helped me appreciate the scenery more instead of rushing through it. Red Dead Redemption 2 easily rides into the masterpiece tier. Eastshade felt like a peaceful vacation where I spent more time admiring nature than worrying about combat or survival. I walked through quiet forests, grassy hills, lakes, farms, and coastal paths, while warm sunlight and soft music made every area relaxing to explore. I also liked how the game encouraged me to slow down and actually pay attention to the environment because there were no constant markers leading me everywhere. Painting landscapes became one of my favorite parts since I was always searching for beautiful views near rivers, cliffs, and villages. Even simple activities like riding a bicycle across the countryside or camping near the wilderness felt calming after long exploration sessions. The world never stopped feeling charming and comfortable to travel through. Eastshade easily paints its way into the excellent tier. Hunt Showdown made its swamps, forests, and abandoned villages feel dangerous in a way that constantly kept me alert while exploring. I loved moving through muddy rivers, dark woods, cornfields, and ruined farms, while hearing distant gunshots, animals, and monsters hiding somewhere nearby. The sound design changed everything because even small noises like broken glass, birds flying away, or footsteps in water could reveal another player close to me. I also liked how fog, rain, and nighttime made the environment feel tense without needing constant action on screen. Sometimes I spent several minutes slowly walking through the wilderness, just trying to survive long enough to escape with my rewards. The creepy atmosphere and detailed nature areas made every match memorable, even when I lost badly. For me, this goes into the excellent tier. Grounded made a normal backyard feel like a giant wilderness, where where every patch of grass looked like a forest waiting to be explored. I spent hours traveling through ponds, flower gardens, picnic tables, sandboxes, and dark caves, while huge insects wandered around like dangerous wildlife. I also loved how the environment constantly changed depending on where I explored, because each area had its own atmosphere and survival challenges. Tiny details, like collecting water drops from grass or building shelters near tree roots, made the world feel creative and memorable. Exploring at night was especially tense since spiders and other creatures suddenly turned familiar places into dangerous territory. Even after many hours, I kept discovering new corners of the yard that felt completely different from earlier areas. Grounded climbs into the great tier of this ranking. No Man's Sky gave me a feeling of exploration that very few games have ever matched, because every planet felt like a completely new journey waiting for me. I spent hours flying across colorful alien worlds filled with giant creatures, strange plants, deep oceans, toxic storms, snowy mountains, and glowing caves. The best part was landing anywhere I wanted without loading screens, and simply walking into the unknown to see what existed there. I also loved building bases on peaceful planets and watching sunsets while strange wildlife moved around the environment. Even after exploring many systems, I still kept finding unusual landscapes that looked nothing like the previous planets I visited. The massive scale of space constantly made me curious about what I would discover next. No Man's Sky easily belongs in the masterpiece tier. The long dark dropped me into a frozen wilderness where every snowy forest, empty road, and abandoned cabin felt both beautiful and dangerous. I spent hours slowly walking through blizzards, climbing icy hills, and searching quiet buildings for food, firewood, and shelter before the temperature became deadly. What I liked most was how the world constantly made me respect nature, because even simple mistakes could leave me freezing somewhere completely alone. The sound of heavy wind, cracking ice, and distant wolves made exploration tense even during calm moments. I also loved watching sunsets across the snowy mountains while snowstorms slowly covered the landscape around me. Very few survival games made nature feel this immersive and unforgiving at the same time. The Long Dark easily goes in the masterpiece tier. Horizon Forbidden West gave me one of the most beautiful worlds I have ever explored, because every forest, desert, beach, and snowy mountain looked unbelievably detailed while traveling across the map. I spent hours climbing ruins, crossing rivers, flying above jungles, and discovering hidden locations surrounded by massive machine creatures. I also loved how colorful the world felt during sunsets, because the lighting across the environment made simple exploration look incredible. Even traveling between missions stayed exciting, since I kept finding new settlements, caves, and dangerous machines wandering through different regions. The mix of nature and futuristic ruins made the world feel unique compared to most open-world games I have played. Horizon Forbidden West easily charges into the masterpiece tier of this ranking thanks to its unforgettable atmosphere and rewarding sense of discovery. Death Stranding turned empty mountains, rocky valleys, rivers, and rainy fields into some of the most memorable landscapes I have ever traveled through in a game. I spent hours carefully walking across dangerous terrain while carrying heavy cargo and trying not to lose my balance during storms or rough climbs. The world felt strangely peaceful because long stretches of silence were suddenly followed by beautiful music while I crossed massive open areas completely alone. I also liked how every river, hill, and snowy path became part of the gameplay, since the environment itself constantly challenged my movement. Seeing ladders, bridges, and helpful structures left behind by other players made the wilderness feel connected in a unique way. Very few games made traveling itself this immersive and emotional. This belongs in the masterpiece tier. Unreal World dropped me into a massive wilderness filled with forests, frozen lakes, rivers, and remote villages, where survival constantly depended on smart decisions. I spent a lot of time hunting animals, building shelters, fishing, and carefully exploring the world while trying not to starve or freeze during long journeys. Even though the visuals looked old, The atmosphere still felt immersive because the game focused on realism and making nature feel dangerous. I also liked how unpredictable exploration became since every new area could either help me survive or completely ruin my plans. Walking through snowy forests with limited supplies made simple discoveries feel rewarding in a way very few survival games manage to capture. The depth of its survival systems and lonely wilderness easily place Unreal World in the great tier. Kingdom Come Deliverance made medieval forests, rivers, farms, and muddy roads feel believable in a way that constantly kept me immersed while exploring Bohemia. I spent hours riding through dense woods, passing small villages, and walking across open fields while storms and changing daylight slowly transformed the atmosphere around me. I also liked how nature felt connected to survival because long trips required food, rest, and proper preparation before traveling too far from towns. Hunting animals and wandering through quiet countryside areas often became more memorable than the main quests themselves. The world never felt artificial since every camp, path, and settlement looked like a real place people could actually live in. The grounded atmosphere and beautiful wilderness easily earned Kingdom Come Deliverance a place in the excellent tier of this ranking. Sons of the Forest dropped me onto a huge island filled with dense forests, rivers, snowy mountains, caves, and beaches that constantly felt both beautiful and threatening. I spent hours building shelters deep in the wilderness, while changing weather and seasons completely changed how exploration felt across the island. I also loved how the forest looked during storms, because heavy rain, dark skies, and thick fog made simple travel feel tense even before enemies appeared. Walking through the woods at night with only a flashlight while hearing strange noises nearby created some of the most stressful exploration moments I have experienced in a survival game. The environment always felt alive thanks to detailed vegetation, realistic lighting, and dangerous wildlife hiding around the map. This cuts its way into the excellent tier of this ranking. Microsoft Flight Simulator gave me some of the most relaxing exploration moments I have ever experienced because the entire planet became my open world. I spent hours flying above mountains, forests, coastlines, deserts, rivers, and huge cities, while changing weather and realistic lighting constantly transformed the scenery below me. One of my favorite things was flying during sunrise or sunset, because the clouds, oceans, and landscapes looked unbelievably peaceful from the cockpit. I also loved visiting remote islands, snowy regions, and small forests that I would probably never see in real life. Even simple flights became memorable because storms, fog, and heavy rain completely changed the atmosphere during long trips across different countries. The scale and realism of the natural world always kept exploration interesting. It smoothly lands in the great tier. Green Hell dropped me into a thick rainforest where every river, cave, and jungle path felt dangerous from the moment I started exploring. I spent hours moving carefully through the forest while searching for food, clean water, and materials to build small shelters before night arrived. What made the world feel special was how nature itself constantly tried to kill me because snakes, insects, poison frogs, infections, and heavy rain could suddenly destroy my progress. I also liked how the jungle sounded alive at all times, with loud storms, distant animal noises, and rustling trees surrounding me during long trips across the map. Exploring deeper areas always felt stressful since I never knew what danger was hiding nearby. Green Hell easily earns a place in the excellent tier of this ranking without much debate. Xenoblade Chronicles X gave me one of the most breathtaking alien worlds I have ever explored because every region of Mira looked completely different from the last. I spent hours crossing massive plains, glowing forests, rocky deserts, waterfalls, and floating islands while giant creatures wandered across the landscape like living mountains. The scale of the world constantly amazed me, especially after unlocking skills and flying freely across areas that once felt impossible to reach. I also loved how exploration always rewarded curiosity, because hidden caves, dangerous enemies, and strange locations were waiting almost everywhere I traveled. Even simple movement across the map felt exciting since the environments looked colorful, strange, and unbelievably huge at all times. This soars into the masterpiece tier of this ranking. Subnautica is one of the most unforgettable nature worlds I have ever explored because every dive into the ocean felt mysterious and dangerous. I spent hours swimming through colorful coral reefs, giant underwater caves, dark trenches, glowing plants, and massive alien ecosystems filled with strange creatures. The deeper I explored, the more the atmosphere changed from peaceful beauty into pure fear, because huge predators could appear from the darkness without warning. I also loved building underwater bases near safe areas while listening to distant creature sounds echoing through the ocean at night. The world constantly rewarded exploration since every biome looked unique and pushed me to travel even deeper beneath the surface. Very few games made nature feel this beautiful, immersive, and terrifying at the same time. Subnautica fully deserves the masterpiece tier of this ranking. Once Human threw me into a strange wilderness filled with forests, abandoned towns, rivers, and ruined facilities covered by creepy alien growths. I spent hours exploring the huge map while fighting bizarre monsters that looked far more interesting than the usual survival game enemies. Some creatures looked like twisted animals, while others looked unnatural and made every new area feel unpredictable. I also liked building small bases near fields and roads because traveling across the world for supplies and resources took a long time. Even though parts of the environment could look repetitive, the atmosphere still kept me curious enough to continue exploring deeper regions of the map. Driving across empty roads during storms or nighttime made the world feel tense without needing action everywhere. Once Human settles into the good tier. The Hunter Call of the Wild gave me some of the most peaceful nature exploration I have experienced because every forest, lake, mountain, and valley looked incredibly realistic while traveling across the wilderness. I spent hours slowly walking through muddy trails and thick woods while tracking animals during storms, foggy mornings, and quiet sunsets. I also loved how alive the world sounded because distant animal calls, heavy rain, moving trees, and strong winds constantly surrounded me during long trips through the reserves. Even when hunting became slow, exploring the huge maps never felt boring since every region looked natural and relaxing in its own way. Watching sunlight pass through forests during early mornings made simple travel feel rewarding without needing constant action everywhere. It is an excellent tier game. That's my ranking of games with stunning natural worlds that I've played. These games gave me some of the most beautiful and immersive environments I've ever explored, and many of their worlds still stay in my mind long after finishing them. Thanks for watching.